Everyone, Susan Davis here, costume director at Seattle Opera. I often am asked to name a favorite costume or a favorite opera, and typically my answer is the show that I'm working on at the time, whether we're in the early planning stages and I'm assisting the designer with choosing fabrics, or perhaps the singers have come to town and they're trying on their costumes for the first time in the fitting room. Or maybe we're in dress rehearsals and we're working like crazy to put the finishing touches on everything. Really, whatever I'm working on at the time is the project or the costume that is closest to me and that I'm most passionate about. And then we get to opening night, the show opens, all of you get a chance to come see it. The show closes. The costumes go through the dry cleaner and end up in our costume stock, and some time's passed, and then I really have a different relationship to those costumes. I thought I'd share some of my favorites with you today. A beautiful period dress that comes to mind is Lucia's Red Dress from Act 2 of Lucia di Lammermoor. The opera was set in the 1860s, pretty much the time that Verdi wrote it. And Deb Trout used historic research to inspire her designs. Very much a classic period show, at least from the costume standpoint. A little bit more abstract in the scenery. The main fabric of the dress was a crushed red velvet, accented with red silk satin, and then also some fringe. And the contrasts in the textures and the reflectivity of these different materials really brought a richness to the costume. And typical of its period, the bodice was quite fitted, very tailored really, with a high collar and some full bell sleeves. And then the skirt, of course, was worn over a hoop skirt that supported the round shape, the bell shape of a skirt of that time period. Lucia's Red Dress to me is the epitome of a classic period costume. Another costume that I love so much is the one worn by Iphigenie in Iphigenie en Tauride. Not because of how it looked on stage or even the design itself, but how the singer responded to the costume. Iphigenie's dress was relatively simple on the one hand, made of a textured wool jacquard, many panels set off by some trim on the vertical seams, and then she wore a quilted coat that was a dark gray with a red lining. Once we'd worked through the entire costume on Nuccia Facile, so we'd pinned in all the alterations, we'd marked the hem, we'd asked her to do some movements in it so she would have a feeling for how the costume moved and how the fabric moved so she could bring that with her to the rehearsal studio, bring that feeling. We took a pause at the end of the fitting to just make sure, see if we had not missed anything, make sure we'd cover everything. And Nuccia looked in the mirror and she took a breath and she said, "Now I am Iphigenie." That was such a great moment. I mean, we knew our work was only half done, really, right? She had to finish her rehearsals. We had to finish the garment. It all needed to come together on stage to be presented to you. But we knew our job of supporting the singer in really embodying their character and bringing that to their singing and to their performance that we had contributed. And that was, that's something I'll always remember. Clytemnestra in Electra. Now that costume was quite extraordinary for lots of different reasons. And much of the drama of that costume was created by the costume crafts artisans. Electra wears a headdress that was quite large and needed to be lightweight so that it was comfortable because she had to wear it for quite a long time. Not only that, it needed to come off on stage to reveal her balding head, basically. The idea is she had, lost her hair through the stress of her life, and it was covered by this grand crown sort of headdress. So Leah, our craftsperson, made a beautiful armature of wire that was quite lightweight, built onto a coif, and then it was covered with fabrics and trims, lots of different textures to look like metal and chains and so on, but all quite lightweight so that the performer could wear it for quite a long period of time. A favorite costume of the more fanciful variety is Count Orie's night costume from the Wicked Adventures of Count Orie. This show, if you recall, was a mashup of all different sorts of looks. It had some medieval and Renaissance characteristics. It had some 70s glam rock references, and all of that came together in Count Orie's costume, designed by Dan Potre. The black leather jacket base was kind of a shape of a biker jacket you might see today, but with extremely exaggerated collar. In fact, 2 layers of collars filled in with another collared shirt with lots and lots of ruffles and a necklace that was really a composite of about 10 necklaces from our costume stock that were woven together and tacked together to act as one piece. The jacket is studded with all sorts of metal findings, and some of you might recall, at least I do, I'm pretty sure I had some studs like that I put on a pair of jeans of mine back in the day. And then on his legs, he wore party-colored tights. So party-colored means half and half. So one leg was one fabric and the other leg was another fabric. To finish off Count Orie's look, he wears leopard patterned over-the-knee boots with quite a pointy toe and a bright red heel. From head to toe, just fantastic, fanciful costume. I hope you've enjoyed this inside look at some of my favorite costumes, and thank you for supporting Seattle Opera.